25,000 enforcement efforts from Illinois State Police for commercial driver's license holders on Illinois roadways. 221 failed English language proficiency exams. And that's led to an interesting conversation about enforcement of that new federal standard. But you've also got questions about non-citizens getting driver's licenses in Illinois and the harms that that has led to. It is Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop. You can wake up with us each and every weekday morning, live with you for the Center Square. Go to thecentersquare.com, sign up for the newsletter today, and get this podcast wherever you get podcasts. Just search Illinois in Focus. All right, so let's get to first our live guest joining us, State Representative Adam Niemerg. He is, is downstate representative, Republican. He has recently filed legislation really trying to address a tragic crash, a fatal crash that happened in your area, Representative. Thanks for taking time with us this morning. Go ahead and tell us what exactly your legislation would do and how you feel that the state's policies have led to this tragedy.
Well, first off, thanks for having me on this morning, Greg. I really appreciate coming on your program. And yes, Clayton's Law is a wonderful bill that we need to enact immediately. Mike and Gail Clayton. Mike was a Coles County board member and fatally injured, he and Gail, in my district by a drunken illegal immigrant, also on drugs. These deaths cannot happen. And now we have a situation where CDLs are being given to illegal immigrants. We have driver's license to illegal immigrants. And this isn't the first time where a death has been caused by a drunken illegal immigrant or an illegal immigrant in general in the state of Illinois. We see this happening continually throughout the state of Illinois, and it's because of the bad policies enacted by Governor J.B. Pritzker and Mayor Brandon Johnson in the city of Chicago, the sanctuary state, sanctuary city policy. And furthermore, after this terrible loss of life, Mike and Gail Clayton, the Democrats back in Springfield the following week, doubled down on their radical agenda for the illegal immigration issue, which we've spent $3.4 billion of your taxpayer dollars to propagate up. So this bill requires that you have to speak English. It should be a common sense initiative. Speak English to be able to operate a motor vehicle here in the state of Illinois, and you must be a United States citizen.
So the current law, as I understand it, I mean, recently they changed the standard driver's license and the what was the name for it beforehand? The temporary visitors driver's license, the TVDL, I believe it was, and that said, not federal ID. But then they changed the standards to just wrap both of those in, and ultimately now there's really no indication if somebody has a standard driver's license whether or not they are a temporary visitor or if they're a permanent resident, right?
That's absolutely correct. They have the same driver's license as every other individual in the state of Illinois. And furthermore, law enforcement does not have the authority to cooperate with ICE when it comes to these detainment hearings or cooperate with ICE in any way, shape, or form under state statute. So we really have a situation where when law enforcement pulls over an illegal immigrant, that illegal immigrant cannot speak English. Law enforcement cannot detain that individual. Law enforcement cannot ask the immigration status of that individual. And we have criminals running rampant throughout the state of Illinois, just running free based on these illegal immigrant ridiculous policies.
We're talking with State Representative Adam Niemerg live with the Center Square's Illinois in Focus, and the issue is non-citizens getting driver's licenses, and you're looking to essentially reverse Illinois policies to require English proficiency, even just for private individuals driving. Representative, your response to those who would say it's racist to require somebody to know English proficiently in order to drive on Illinois roadways?
Well, that's just a deflection from the truth. And the Democrats continually use that language, racist, and it's the furthest from the truth. It's about having safety and security on our streets. It's about putting our citizens first. It's about making sure that the folks that are driving on the roads can read the signs. I don't see anything racist about that in any way, shape, or form. For an individual to be able to read a sign, to be able to drive here in the state of Illinois, furthermore, to be able to have a motor vehicle driver's license, to be a United States citizen. There's nothing absolutely wrong with that in any way, shape, or form. So the Democrats to deflect and gaslight on this particular issue is really, that just means they don't have a leg to stand on when it comes to this argument, because that's what happens if the Democrats just have nothing to say about it. They just call us sexist, racist, bigots, whatever term they they want to use to deflect from the actual facts that we have illegal immigration causing a major issue in the state of Illinois. We have folks like Mike and Gail Clayton that have lost their lives as a result of the illegal immigrant policies perpetuated by the radical left, J.B. Pritzker, and the House and Senate Democrats. And we must put a stop to this. We cannot allow non-citizens to drive on our roads. We can't allow folks who cannot even speak English to drive on our roads. And we must cooperate with federal law enforcement agencies. This is another issue. We see what's happening in Chicago. These things would not be happening if Mayor Johnson and Governor Pritzker actually allowed our state and local law enforcement agencies to cooperate with ICE.
Representative, I reached out to Illinois State Police to ask if I could do a ride-along with their CDL enforcement officers in the Springfield area. I figured Springfield's a nice area. You got 72 and 55. It's a major hub for the intersection of America. So I figured that would be a good spot to see just how often they do English language proficiency exams and how often they might, hit somebody who doesn't have the proficiency for the English language. They denied my request for a ride-along, so I want to get your response to that. And if you would do a ride-along, and I don't know if bring a camera with you or something, but they did provide numbers though. They said that, and I'm going to pull this up from the Illinois State Police. They say, following guidance issued by the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, every ISP officer conducting a commercial motor vehicle inspection initiates the inspection in English. If there is an indication the driver may not understand the inspector's instructions, the inspector then conducts an English language proficiency assessment. Since June 25th, 2025, when the guidance was incorporated into the North American Standard out of service criteria, ISP has completed approximately 25,600 inspections, of which 221 citations were issued. So they give a breakdown of the total ELP violations from 2023. It's 385. 2024, 565. That's after 78,000 plus total inspections. Now, again, they're saying that so far this year, you've got 221 since June, but total year-to-date's 546. It looks like there's definitely an increase in the number of CDL holders that are failing English language proficiency in the state of Illinois, and they do point that about 10 to 15%, even up to 18% so far year-to-date are CDLs that are from the state of Illinois. The rest, vast majority, 80+%, are from out-of-state CDL holders. Your response to all of this, especially in the light of what happens to the Claytons and what we've seen in other parts of the country when it comes to CDL drivers, ultimately leading to fatal crashes.
Well, first off, the entire country, we need to take initiatives. Other states need to take initiatives on this, and the federal government as well. Donald Trump's doing an excellent job on the immigration issue, but there needs to be an initiative done completely and federally on this further. I know Representative Mary Miller is taking the initiative on that as well, because you said 80% are non-state, 20% are in-state. So we need to solve the problem in the state of Illinois. The federal government and other states need to solve the problem within their states. But it really does scare me a little bit. It also makes me wonder what questions are being asked. How are these questions being asked? What is the grading scale of proficiency? What does that exactly mean? And also very scary that they're willing just to supply you that information and that actually allow you as a journalist to go on a ride-along to figure out what's happening here in the state of Illinois, because the ISP works directly for Governor J.B. Pritzker. Maybe there's something to hide there that they don't want you to see. So it would, I'd like to see them allow you to go on that ride-along to get that information and get some factual information to what's actually going on. And furthermore, having a driver's license in the state of Illinois, we must be able to have citizens have driver's license. But when it comes to CDLs, you're talking about a loaded semi traveling down the road at 65, 70, 75 mile an hour. I was driving to Champaign the last few days and semis passing me at 75 miles an hour. And I'm wondering about my own safety and my children's safety in the vehicle as well. Is this individual passing me an illegal immigrant that doesn't understand English that could cause an accident, a fatal accident? So when it comes to the deaths that we're looking at, the fatalities of Mike and Gail Clayton because of a drunken, drugged up illegal, quite frankly. And then we look at Katie Abraham and Champaign. We look at other folks throughout the state of Illinois. We need to take action on this. And it really boils down to this is a massive Democrat voter registration drive because the Democrats need the illegal immigrants in the state of Illinois for their census numbers when they come to redistricting, because if they don't have those figures, Republicans will pick up seats. So this has nothing to do with humanitarian aid. This has nothing to do with being pro-immigrant. This has everything to do with the Democrats keeping and controlling power. Because if folks could come into this country legally, they could prosper, they could pay into the tax system, they wouldn't be looking over their shoulder. Now you have a situation where folks are a permanent underclass. They're always looking over their shoulder. They're getting paid living wages to be here in the state of Illinois, all because the Democrats want to use them for their own political agenda.
Representative Adam Niemer, greatly appreciate you taking the time with us today and reacting to this. I'll ask again about getting a ride-along with Illinois State Police and some sourcing that I have just to address some of your questions. When they approach somebody as a CDL driver and it's obvious they don't understand the English language, that kicks in the ELP, and I believe there are like a series of 8 questions that they have to ask, and if they fail to answer those questions, then they ultimately have to just put the truck up and continue more safety inspection and not let it proceed. But I would like to see that as a journalist firsthand. And their statement saying they can't accompany that request was, I have yet to get like an official breakdown, but just in some background conversation, there's concerns about you're not really going to see much. You're not going to be able to go to the cab and hear the questions and whatnot. You'll have to stay in the car. And my response was, well, that's fine. I'll still be able to get an understanding of just how often this is happening every day for this officer that's doing this enforcement. And then they said, well, you'll be in the car and it could be not safe. We've had multiple vehicles sideswiped, right? And my response was, I signed the waiver on the application for the ride-along. So they have the application in hand, but still have yet to get that to happen. Is that something you would want to do? Do a ride-along?
Let's do it together, Greg. Let's send in some information. Let's make that request and let's do it together. And I do have a question. This is a federal requirement, or is this a state requirement for these questions to be asked?
I believe it's federal. So according to according to the ISP statement, it's the North American standards that were implemented by the DOT, the federal DOT, over the summer. So that's the number, the 221s, just from that June number, right? Just from June, but total over the year they have 500 plus. So it'll be interesting to see just how much of an increase that is. And I did get a statement back from the Midwest Truckers Association, and they said the bottom line here is once the feds actually put this out there and said you have to enforce it, then states are finally starting to enforce it, states like Illinois. So we'll just see how high those numbers get by the end of the year.
Yes, and it's also, I'm glad the federal government's doing that, but folks, it goes to show that the state of Illinois, the Illinois Democrats have zero issue with illegal immigrants and folks that cannot speak English driving on our roads in giant semis.
Representative Adam Niemer, greatly appreciate you taking time with us live here for Illinois in Focus, and we'll definitely talk about this and other issues in the future, all right? Be safe out there, and happy Thanksgiving to you and yours, all right?
Happy Thanksgiving and Merry Christmas.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll talk before Christmas, but thumbs up. All right, appreciate you. It is Illinois in Focus daily, each and every weekday morning here for the Center Square. I'm Greg Bishop, and get this and more at thecentersquare.com.